like we've got a dog. Hello, dog.
Okay.
Welcome to Classical Chats. Outdoor, sunny edition. Live from London.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, everybody, if not, so many people know your work.
Thank you.
I think.
Thank you.
Maybe not your face.
Yeah, that would be fair.
Want to introduce yourself?
I'm Edward. I'm the founder and leader of IMSLP, the sheet music website. It's been a fun journey of 16 years now, 15, a long time. And when I first started, I just never thought I would have there'd be so much support for my team and for me. At first, it was just a couple PDFs and of Beethoven sonatas.
And with me, it was like a couple of, I guess, sheet music. And now I just played a concert, and now I'm having a lot more things than just few sheet music. Yeah. But we'll get to how you got into the whole expansion. Tell me, though, first question always. Oh, hello, dog. Hello. I will ask the dog next. But how'd you get your start in classical music?
I didn't even know you had a musical background. I mean, honestly, I didn't know who was behind IMSLP until you reached out randomly over email. That's an awesome question. After the concert last night, I was thinking about, like, where does my passion for IMSLP come from and for classical music? And it really, like, as a kid, of course, I practiced my violin and stuff, but it wasn't...
Of course.
Well,
you didn't walk out the womb and be like, gotta start playing. Did you come from a music family?
No. My family was in Shanghai. I was born in Shanghai. And, I mean, it's sort of Asian. You probably have a sense of it.
I have a sense of it. Luckily, I was not under that stereotype. My parents didn't really care for it. Like,
nice.
You have to learn an instrument. It was like I was obsessed with a toy. I did other extracurriculars, but it wasn't like you must do this to excel and get grades. Luckily. But I do know that it's very common. And so that's how you started. You had to learn an instrument.
Yeah, I was given a choice between a piano and violin. Wow. I was 4 years old. And
you decided screeching was the way.
That's good. To be honest, I didn't want either.
Oh.
But because, like, as a kid, I was very outgoing, and I didn't really sit down for anything. Which is, I think, partly why my parents wanted me to do it. Anyway, so they said you had to choose between the piano and violin. I figured, well, the violin is smaller. It must be easier.
Okay. That's good logic.
I was 4 years old.
Logic. Yeah.
But it was more a hobby. And then, when I was 10, my parents divorced, and I was already in the U.S. at the time, but I had to go back to Shanghai because I had my family in the U.S. couldn't really, they were going through a lot. So luckily I ended up in the elementary school of Shanghai Conservatory. So it's like, you don't really see that very much in the West. Well, Juilliard pre-college is one that's pretty similar, but it's an elementary school that is an elementary school, but really dedicated to music. Everybody practiced like 4 to 6 hours a day.
Jeez, I didn't do that.
It was.
But
it was
I admire
intense.
people. I admire people who can do that. Yeah, I can imagine.
It was like, because it was really hard to get into, and I didn't get into it by dint of my my music prowess, I got into it because I was a foreigner, and they said, "Well, okay, you can pay more." And
Oh wow, I appreciate the honesty.
hey,
It's not all meritocratic.
it was a very different time back then, but my classmates they were really tough. Like their parents drove them extremely hard. For a lot of them, it was their only way out. They're from like the rural countryside, and I was there for 3 years, and it was amazing. Like we were sort of all in it together. We practiced really hard. We competed. Like we argued over who was the best pianist, who was the best violinist. I was not one of the top ones, but or anywhere near. But it was really fun.
It was fun, even though
really
it was really
fun.
intense and everybody was very competitive.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, but people were very much more innocent back then.
In what way?
Partly maybe because we were 10 to 12-year-olds, and but also there was a competition, but as kids we didn't take it I mean, our parents took it a lot more seriously than we did.
Yeah. I can understand that because, like, when I was in Juilliard pre-college, all the parents were gossiping. And, I don't know if I've actually ever said this. I feel like I'm, like, outing people. But, like, anyone that's been there knows, like, the parents are on one side, competing, gossiping who's doing better, who's doing what. And then the kids are, like, on their own, being kids.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
And it was also a boarding school, sort of.
Oh, so you even bonded more, probably.
Yeah.
So that was when you were 10, 12?
Yeah, that's 3 years.
And you knew that you wouldn't be a violinist, or?
Well, I was no good at violin. So, but I really loved composing.
Huh.
But there wasn't anybody composing in elementary school because that wasn't a specialty. They thought we weren't mature enough to be composers.
Huh.
So I was the only unofficial quote-unquote composer in the school. But
they didn't read about Mozart's beginning. He composed
apparently not.
way before 12, no?
Apparently not.
So then you were there for 3 years, you said?
Yeah, I was there for 3 years, and then I went back to Canada. It was such a good memory. It was have you watched the anime Nodame Cantabile?
No, but I think a lot of people watching this might relate strongly because I've seen that title.
It was almost exactly like a Nodame, except with 12-year-olds. So it's the music is a world, like classical music is a world. And after I left, I wanted to, for a long time, I wanted to find that again. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. And then, anyway, so fast forward, I got into New England Conservatory, and then started to be a real quote-unquote composer.
So you just went away from violin and you went for composing, or?
Yeah. So yeah, I used to practice the violin and piano more, but
you did go into piano then.
I did because I thought, well,
you
composers
chose the violin first, and then.
Yeah, but then for composers, you sort of piano is a more natural match with polyphony and sort of it's I think a better way to compose for large ensembles. So yeah, I did, except my piano skills are not quite up to snuff. But
what about your composing skills?
I have good confidence in my composing skills, but
Oh, wow. Okay. Now the
So
world
there's
needs
one.
to know what you have composed. So how did you get into like composing? Was it just like, oh, I can't play other people's music, so let me write my own? Or...
I like the idea of expressing myself through composition, because spontaneously, like performance is in a way always a bit spontaneous, right? You're expressing the music. You're also in a way expressing your current state of mind, of feeling, and of course your understanding of the music. So it's a mix of a lot of things, and I sort of prefer to write it down. I prefer to have some time, have some time over it. And so anyway,
You went to NEC for
composition.
composition. Do you think you were going to be a composer?
I did before the whole IMSLP thing started.
Was it while you were at NEC?
Yeah. I had nothing. I mean, Boston. I don't know if you've been to Boston in the winter. You may have.
Yeah, January. That's
Yeah. I remember we had like snowstorms every other week or something. I was like,
wow.
There's nowhere to go except my tiny dorm room. So, and I was pretty much into computers back then too. It was just when Wikipedia was starting.
Good times.
Yeah.
I remember when it was like you no longer need to buy encyclopedias for each subject. It's like just Wikipedia.
Yeah, it used to be Britannica, I think.
Even before Britannica, I remember when I first came to the US, it was just transitioning into the birth of Wikipedia. So it was like first being taught how to use Google search, and then I was fascinated by the picture books of encyclopedias, and then it was like out of fashion in 2 years. But yeah, so you were doing composition at NEC.
Yeah.
And then suddenly one day you had PDFs.
Yeah, I had not much else to do in the winter, so I just figured I started for fun. Well, I wouldn't say entirely for fun. There's a bit of a story where back when I was trying to do composition when I was a kid, but it was really hard to find scores. I mean, back then in all of Shanghai, there's a big bookstore that had like there's 7 stories to this bookstore.
I might have been there.
And there's 2 scores in the 7 stories of books.
Okay, then maybe I have not been there.
But
yeah.
That was in like 1999, and that was like full scores. I mean, like there's obviously a lot more piano scores.
Yeah.
But I was trying to like learn all the instruments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I didn't feel it, because I went to bookstores when I was very young. Maybe not 1999, but like 2001, something like that. And I loved exploring just all the music books in the stores. But yeah, you were finding it hard to find scores.
Yeah. So I thought, well, a lot of this stuff is supposed to be public domain. It's supposed to be available. That's the idea behind public domain, but it's so hard to find. And we have Wikipedia. We have this new mode of online collaboration that you could do more than your own what you can do yourself. So I had to learn programming. I had a friend who I think now he's at Amazon, but he started writing sort of prototype for IMSLP, but he got bored.
He got bored?
He got bored like 2 weeks in.
Oh, why was he bored?
Well, he's more of a technical person, and he just wants to learn the new technologies.
And yours is more of a database, right?
Yeah, and it's more like we have this programming language, PHP, and he's like, well, I've sort of learned PHP now. That's good enough for me.
Yeah. So then you had to take it from him.
Yeah.
To continue on.
Yeah, I had to learn how to program, and
that's impressive, no? Because you were also doing composition and like music studies. Or you just had a lot of free time.
And I had no life.
Okay. Love the honesty.
So I managed to put something together.
How long did it take you to learn programming and put it together for the first prototype?
2-3 weeks.
Jeez. Okay, that's simple. So you were bored, you had no life, and you decided to learn programming, make a prototype in 2 to 3 weeks. Then what happened?
Yeah.
What was in the prototype again?
It was just the Wikipedia software with a bit of databasing. It's just registering files. I didn't want files to get all over the place. Just some basic tools. And I remember I had the collection of Beethoven sonatas, and I put it up there, and thought, well, what do I do now? How is anybody gonna know about it? And I thought, well, I took my inspiration from Wikipedia, so I might as well go back to Wikipedia and find the pages for Beethoven sonatas and link them. And right after I did that, an admin came to my talk page. He's like, why are you linking to this 3-day-old site? Like, what are the chances that this site is gonna actually be up for the long time,
Right.
for the long term?
Yeah.
But I said, well,
It's just the start of something.
yeah, just watch me. I said. I think that conversation is still on my talk page.
Huh. Well,
But
it's come a long way. And so then you uploaded Beethoven.
Yeah.
Then what happened? That was in what, 2006?
Six.
So right around when I joined YouTube. I think I joined in 2007. So that was like the birth of more internet uploads.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
YouTube was videos, Wikipedia was like information. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then from Beethoven. Was Beethoven like your first love composer? Favorite piece?
I love Beethoven. I also think I suppose I could have started with Bach, like preludes and fugues as well. I love those. For somehow I just thought that 32 piano sonatas, that'd make for a nice start.
So you uploaded all 32?
Yeah.
Wow. And then what happened?
I did that for a couple more series. I think the symphonies, I think, Mozart, Chopin.
You were just scanning it. Where were you getting the scores?
I was looking online. So as one does back then. It wasn't even that they weren't out there. They were very scattered, and they were sort of like you're not sure like if it's good quality.
So you were verifying it and looking for good scans out there already. Yeah,
it has to be really presentable, or at least for the standards back then. Nowadays it's higher standard.
Yeah.
But so after like a month or two, I got other people uploading stuff. I'm like, wow, this thing people actually do want to help. And after that, it just took off. Honestly, it's like just one thing after the other.
And then you decided to go into IMSLP fully, or you still wanted to compose? Because then you went to law school, no?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, IMSLP was a hobby, was meant to be a hobby, but then we got some complaints because, like, before then the public domain wasn't very clearly defined in many people's minds. I mean, there wasn't really a repository of public domain. People don't that concept wasn't very strong in people's minds. So we got some complaints from various people, and one of those complaints we had to shut down the site. Like, I was sort of debating, like, do I just take stuff down? But then these things are public domain.
So define public domain.
It depends on the country.
Right. But now you have the lawyer experience also.
Yeah.
Experience.
Yeah, there's 3 major regimes, if that's sort of a lawyerly term, for copyright. One is Life Plus 50, is more common in Asia, and then Life Plus 70. When I mean life, it's like the life of the author plus 50 or 70 years. And then in the U.S., we always like to do a bit different. We have probably the most complicated copyright law in the world. Even I need to consult experts, which we do have on our staff. So so I thought, well, I'd rather take it down and really deal with it. Really get to the bottom of it, and because back then I was just a student doing this, and I didn't really have any legal support. I didn't have any legal background, so I wanted to do it right. And we took a couple months off and found legal counsel, and then we got back. And so, but then it told me, like, lawyers are expensive. Do you know that?
Who knew? That's why, kids, be a lawyer.
You're advertising for the Asian parents out there.
I see you. I hear you. No, but yeah, expensive.
So I decided, well, I might as well educate myself and then maybe earn some money. Being a composer is not a wealthy pursuit.
No.
So went to law school for 3 years, and then worked as a lawyer for 5 years, which I don't know. I don't. It's pretty extreme. I would say that it's pretty extreme. There's a lot of not sleeping.
Gotta work for your money,
Amen.
And look, son's back. So you went to law school.
Yeah, and
for
then
IMSLP essentially.
Yeah, for IMSLP. And then it was also good because IMSLP was more of a hobby, and law school did pay the bills. But then there's student debt and all that. But anyway, it did help with my with me being able to continue doing IMSLP. So after 5 years, I decided I've had enough. I remember I was in the hospital when I quit my law firm. I was like, because I my health was getting really not good. It wasn't good.
Wow.
I was just sitting in the chair all day, every day. Yeah. Anyway, so I got out of that. Yeah. And luckily I was able to focus on IMSLP full time after that, and I just feel really lucky. I feel blessed to have a job that I enjoy, I believe in, that I enjoy, and that I have a team that has the same ideas about it as I do. And yeah.
Why'd you name it IMSLP? It stands for, was it Patrici?
Yeah,
Is it International Music? Score Library
Project.
But then there was like a Patrici, no?
Yeah. A couple years later, we figured, well, nobody's gonna know how to spell IMSLP, so we added Petrucci.
What does Petrucci stand for?
Petrucci is for Ottaviano Petrucci. He was the first printer of movable type music. So before then, it was all manuscripts. The medieval, well, not even medieval, Renaissance. And then in the early 16th century, Petrucci, following in Gutenberg's footsteps, figured out a way to make music movable type. So,
Movable types. What does that mean?
so instead of having a copyist copy out every single copy of music, they would have blocks with different notes on it, and then you stack them on a really big a board, and then you just you typeset it out. It's sort of like it's like Microsoft Word. I guess Finale or Sibelius or whatever kids MuseScore, but it's of course analog, and they would lay out one page, print it, and then print many copies of it, and then lay out a different page, and then do the same, and then it's at least much faster than hand copying.
Mm-hmm.
So
learned.
Yeah.
Finally, why it's called Petrucci.
Yeah.
It's the project Gutenberg, right?
Yeah, Gutenberg.
Petrucci kind of run out of.
Exactly.
Names.
Well, yeah, Gutenberg was also our inspiration. They were the pioneers of public domain for books.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, what was your hope then? I guess after law school, it's like the early 2010s.
After law school,
with IMSLP, you like knew that it was going to be the future of your career. Did you have like certain goals you had in mind?
Yeah. So in the early, when I was doing the whole law bit, IMSLP really was more of a hobby,
right?
Because I didn't see a way to really earn a living doing it. So later, I decided to. I tried different things like printing, and what did we sold scores from other publishers.
You sold scores?
I
did not know this. But
it may surprise people that
I didn't know about IMSLP, I think, when I was in college, I believe. Mm-hmm. So late 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
So you moved from online to physical for a while.
I thought that was a way for us to sustain IMSLP. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, and my partner, who's in St. Louis, he was really working full time on IMSLP, and he wasn't getting paid at all.
Was he?
I wasn't getting paid. He was part of the content team, so he was the copyright reviewer, the main copyright reviewer. He knows all about the copyrights, especially of like even within copyright, like classical music copyright is almost its own thing. It's
there are many editions, and then who is the author of that?
Exactly. There's these questions that somebody who's not part of this world would maybe not even think of, not know the inside stories.
Right.
But he wasn't getting paid at all, and I mean, I obviously wasn't getting paid. I was putting my money into it, but but then we rolled out the membership, and that really did enable me to focus on IMSLP and really get more good quality scans, more editions, and really build up a team. So we are really lucky for the support. I mean, I remember when I was first releasing the thing, I didn't even get a chance to test it. I mean, I put it on there, and then 2 minutes later, somebody bought a membership. I'm like, what?
That's great. That's a great feeling.
Yeah,
It means that you built something that meant, it had value, meant something to people.
like your community, like
Yeah.
it's just, yeah. Anyway, I was so happy, that for all this support,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess in a way, I mean, I usually when people ask me about IMSLP, I would just sort of start with, it was at NEC, and I didn't have anything to do, but IMSLP really is an outgrowth from my teenage, or even before then, and my love of classical music, and I don't know. At this point, both of them are part of my identity, and we hope that going forward, IMSLP can be more and more useful to musicians. We're really trying to increase the quality of everything on IMSLP. I know sometimes it's a little bit like, if it's a really rare score, then maybe it's not the best quality scan. Then we had a policy of inclusion first, and then because we want people to see like all of classical music and all of what it has to offer. But going forward, we're trying to get very clean scans, much better scans, and we're hoping to help musicians in other ways.
I mean, I think you've done a lot for the exploration of classical music, just for people who want to learn to play. They can just find into the score.
Thank you.
So I think so. I feel like a lot of people would be excited to know, who's behind IMSLP.
It's just me.
and some people behind, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My team.
Yeah.
My team is the thing.
So what's like an average day like working at IMSLP? You say a lot of meetings, right?
Yeah. For me, it's a lot of meetings. I want people working at IMSLP to really be happy working at IMSLP.
Mm-hmm.
And I check in to make sure that there's nothing's blocked, and like everybody's happy with their job. So yeah, it takes. I mean, the meetings take time, but I also sort of enjoy them. I mean, it's sort of. I mean, life's a journey. Why not enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has one life, or unless you're a Buddhist, which I was for a while.
Huh.
Yeah, I was. I was also very much into philosophy ever since I was a kid. Like you. Yeah. But it's. I mean, it's we're a team that's on a mission, and it's a.
What's your mission now in 2024?
We always have the mission, that sort of constant thread of just want to help the classical music community in what way we can, and I mean that's pretty broad. So what our team is trying to do is to narrow down, to really to see what people are asking for, and to really give them very high quality tools to perform classical music with, or to enjoy classical music. So it's a lot of details. I mean, it's like we're not on the scale of Google, where you could throw like, I don't know, 100, not 100, 1,000 engineers at a problem, and it's like,
right.
Our tech team is really 3-4 people.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. But we're like, I'm really proud of my tech team. Like, they are doing extraordinarily well, but all the details, like
What kind of details? Because I think for a user, all you see is you go on a site, you look for a score pops up, you click on a PDF, it loads, print, save, the end, you know? So what's like the behind the scenes back end stuff?
Yeah, there's like recently, we're doing Clara, right? So we had about a year into it, and we had to do all the designs, and there's a lot of discussion over like how should it be designed, like the cards, should it be cards or should it be lists? Who would like what type of format and what sort of image what sort of feeling it should give the user. And then recently I was looking at Kara, and I thought, well, you know, it's great, but then it's some of the like the transitions weren't entirely smooth, and it's like it's details like that. And I talked to my team, and the my front end developer, who is awesome, he's awesome. He said, yeah, no problem. And a week later, the site was buttery smooth. It was amazing. But like these things that like once the finished product is out, you'll feel it. You'll feel the craftsmanship that goes into it. But you when you say it, like when I say, well, I'm still working on Clara, and it sounds like, well, there's not that much, but it's software development is its own thing. It's
like, I have learned also from working on Doremi just like so many different little things, and it takes time to build.
Yeah, and like I could talk about tech forever, but
well, I mean, what other things about classical music would you like to share on Classical Chats? You have the mission of providing tools to make more people, I guess, feel accessible to classical music, or make classical music more accessible to more people. It's through mainly through scores, right?
Through scores, and then we're also thinking about if we can connect musicians, because like our platform, our users are 90%, more than 90% musicians, either amateur or professional.
Right.
And there's hasn't been a very good platform to connect classical musicians in a very big way.
Yeah, we were talking about this, and that's how Doremi came up.
Exactly, and I think Doremi is very interesting. Like you're connecting really both musicians and the audience.
Yep, that's the
like,
goal. Yeah.
That's really hard. Like you
have the tech side, and I have like the people side. That's why we were like discussing like what are the future plans, because we come from like the different sides.
Exactly.
But like for me, like tech is so hard, but like I have the community, and luckily the community of the musicians network. Yeah.
I mean, musicians. If like the IMSLP, it's understandable. There's a lot of like there's scores, and it's sort of a watering hole for musicians. But to really draw audiences in, I think that's one of our biggest challenges as well. I mean, I'm not saying anything new. It's just like for classical music.
You don't even have like social media, right, for IMSLP?
No,
and that's great. No, in a way, it's like the most organic. It shows that what really is the value is the product itself, and it speaks for itself. So it doesn't even need marketing in its way, right? Because like, did you do marketing aside from linking the things on Wikipedia?
No, I'm sort of proud that we've never spent a cent on marketing.
Yeah, because you basically relied on just the power of the platform itself. And like the linking to the Wikipedia bottom for the pieces, right?
Yeah, that was a kickstart that we needed.
No, it's cool to grow things organically. And well, now looking back, it's like that was like the good old days of doing things. Now everything is like paid for and ads, and there's a lot more mediation.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I look forward to seeing what's the future of IMSLP or Clara.
Oh, thank you for
Yeah.
for looking at IMSLP.
Because you also have recordings, though, that I'm actually thinking. Like,
We
what
do.
other tools?
We do. We have a lot of very talented performers who are just sharing their favorite pieces that they've recorded. That I've been thinking about, like, if there's some way we can highlight musicians, both performers and composers. That'd be cool. I think that'd be cool.
Let's highlight you then as an ending note. What is your favorite classical piece?
Grieg's Piano Concerto.
Really? Huh. Any favorite interpretation?
I had one. Honestly, I remember this from my childhood. I had a CD. I'm so bad with this, but it was a CD that I because, like, back then there wasn't YouTube, of course. There wasn't Spotify or anything, and I just had a couple CDs, and that was my favorite. I have to look it up. And I remember the cadenza in Grieg's in the first movement. There's that moment, where it sort of stops, and then something else.
The left hand with the arpeggios, and then it starts building up. I have it in my head right now. Our editor will insert the moment that we're talking about now. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. And then it goes.
I couldn't believe it. Like, as a kid, hearing that moment, how is that possible?
So it's also harmonically very simple, but it's so effective and powerful when it just builds up and up and up.
I had many nights just listening to it.
Wow. Well, that's a great story, and we will now think of Greek when we think of IMSLP and Edward. Well, anything else? Last remarks?
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for sharing your story.
My pleasure.